Hey friends! Yes, I am getting over a cold, so I sound sick. Just ignore that. Anyway, how have you all been doing? Basically, yesterday I found myself thinking, you know, it's been a while since I did a Storytime video for YouTube. But what is there for me to make a story about? There hasn't been anything interesting going on. Don't ever tell yourself that. Okay, obviously I'm being dramatic. It wasn't that bad. It's more like funny. And maybe if I told you about this, you wouldn't make the same mistake. Yeah, as you can tell, I've been sick, but I'm like doing better. Like I feel fine, which is crazy because normally it takes me like 2 weeks. But anyway, my mom got really sick too, so my dad and I were like cooking soup for us because that's what you do, I guess, when people are sick. If you guys don't know this, actually most of you don't, honestly. I can't hardly eat anything. It makes me throw up and have all these like really severe reactions. I'm trying to like see an allergy doctor to fix that because it is like an allergy reaction. Like my whole body starts like doing this thing, like convulsing, and yeah, I passed out all this. It's fun. It's fun. Fun time. Yeah. Because of that, I can only eat a few foods, and we were making a soup out of those ingredients, which is basically like 5 things. Pretty simple, right? Yeah, anyway, I had to tell you that because I can only have rice noodles, where literally the ingredients it says on the package is rice and water. But if you don't know this, rice is pretty starchy. But I didn't think this would be a problem. Like, you know, if you've cooked rice in like a legit rice cooker, sometimes it'll just boil up, and I know people wash their rice sometimes. We wash this pasta just in case, because if you don't, it'll like produce a lot of extra starch at the top and kind of overflow a little bit, even with just a rice cooker. And we decided to make this soup. Normally with a soup you put it in like a crock pot or something. By the way, I hate talking about food, but this is funny. So normally with soup you'd like have to put it in a crock pot, wait hours for it to like cook everything through if you haven't cooked everything through, like the vegetables or noodles, meat, or whatever you want to put into it. And you put it in at different times, like depending on how hard or soft you want it. Let's erase that. I can't get over it. But we didn't really want to spend time on that, and my grandparents had bought my mom, well, all of us really, a pressure cooker. So we had never used this pressure cooker before, and it's fairly easy. My dad read the instructions. I'm not gonna lie and say I read them because I didn't. We set it all up, and the pressure cooker is like supposed to cook things within like 7 to 10 minutes, which is insane, but it does because it like steams and pressurizes it and nothing can escape, and it cooks really fast. It's pretty legit. A lot of people use pressure cookers and they're good if you use it correctly. So after we had been doing all this preparation, we were just waiting for it to basically steam and pressurize it inside of this thing. Like we locked it. There's supposed to be like a little nozzle that just lets a little bit of steam out. So it doesn't blow up. And so so everything was fine. We didn't fully lock it down the first time, so then we were like, oh crap, let's just do it again, because it looked like it cooked a little but not enough, and it didn't like lock in. Like once it's pressurized, the handle just doesn't budge because it just locks the lid down really tight because of pressure and physics. Yay, science. We were just hanging out and waiting with the dogs because they are always in the kitchen and in the way. And this was the second time we put it on because we were like, let's just put it back and make sure it's actually locked down, because the little nozzle wasn't letting off steam, so we didn't think it got steamed up enough. Like maybe it didn't heat up enough fast enough, because it's just sitting on the stove top. Basically how a pressure cooker works is you put the lid onto it, you put it on top of the stove top. This is just the kind that we have. So the stove top will heat it up, and the rest of it does its job. My dad was like, yeah, okay, so it's gonna shoot out some steam out of the side. so you probably just want to get out of the way. So I was like, okay. Sorry, So basically I like backed against the counter, like back here. Let's just say this is the counter. I backed against the counter and I was like chilling, like okay, it's just gonna let some steam out, right? So it's on the stovetop, and we just made some space, like a little bit, like maybe a foot or two of space. There's some other stuff on the counter. There's like, the way our kitchen is laid out is there's like a stovetop, and then there's a way to walk, like an aisle to walk through for the fridge and the counter that I was leaning on, and then the sink. Oh, and then there's like the kitchen table in front of this little like countertop that the stove is on. There's some space, but I just decided to go back here by the fridge and the counter because I don't know. I thought the steam was just gonna go out like a little bit, which it does normally. But if you remember, rice is starchy. And right before he did it, I was like, I have a feeling that rice is starchy and it boils over. I wonder if the pressure inside of the pressure cooker would just make the steam a lot like extra starchy. I wonder if it like went up to the top like it did. But I didn't say anything because I figured like no, it'd be fine. Or if he just like lets out some of the steam, it'll let some of the pressure out. Like when you unlock the lid, it's supposed to just let a little bit of pressure out. So I was like, okay, it'll probably be fine. It didn't explode. So that's a good thing. See, we know the first time using it, at least we didn't blow it up. Please, universe, do not listen to what I just said. I instantly regretted that. Oh my god. So he opens up the lid and it's supposed to come out the left side. And it did. About like 5 feet. So this thing is like rocketing out a fucking huge stream of like starchy steam, but like spewing out like a fire hydrant all across the room. So I'm like pressed against the back of the counter, and the sound of it is so loud that we like have to start shouting to each other, panicking on what to do. So we're partially laughing, like dying laughing honestly, and partially like, oh crap, like my dad is holding a fucking flame torch of a pressure cooker. It is blowing out steam all the way across the room. And so he's like, oh okay, watch out. And like, I'm watched out because I was all the way back here. The dogs like ran out of the room and were just watching with their eyes wide, like ours, honestly. And it is just like spewing out across the floor, across the counter, all the way into the sink on this side of the room. And my dad's like, oh god, because it looks like it could get bigger, and it's kind of starting to get bigger, and I'm like right there and I didn't know what to do because I couldn't run through the boiling hot steam to get away from it. And so he starts to turn it, but we had just bought stuff that day at the grocery store, so there was like cans of things and it was spraying all over that, and so he's like, oh crap, and then he like moves the fucking like fire hydrant over this way, and it's like spewing all onto the kitchen table across the stovetop. Eventually I like slipped through over behind him, and then he put it back towards the sink where it safely exploded all over the place. Yeah, by the time that had happened, we had just allowed ourselves to laugh fully, because before it was like, oh shit, this is kind of an emergency. We're kind of boiling hot steam and starch all over the room. Everything was coated in white mist. My mom, who has like the horrendous form of a flu and has been quarantined in her room where none of us are very much allowed to go in there, came down to find out what was happening because it was a very loud disaster with us shouting to each other on how to survive an exploding pressure cooker. Well, there you go. I hope that was entertaining because it was funny for me and I still laugh every time I think about it, as you've seen. I hope you're having a great day. This is just a short story time, but I'm gonna have some other things coming out soon, so be ready for that. Yeah, I hope you're doing well. I miss all of you. Tell me what you think in the comments if you've had any pressure cooker problems, and read the instructions. Okay, bye. Apostrophe,